Hi, everyone. It's Fans of the Framework Facebook Live. And our topic today is transparent communication via leaders to their employees and from employees to employees. I have here with me Miss Kris Allen. She is a part-time coach for Capstone, a transformational expert, if you will. But for the most part, she is the COO, CNO of our flagship hospital in Michigan, Eaton Rapids Medical Center. So Kris is in the house. We're very excited to have her.
Excited to be here.
Yes, and we are live from Lancaster, Wisconsin, where we just did a day one of a partner initiation, our newest partner, Grant Regional Hospital here in Lancaster. So we're really excited to be here. Kris and I got to do the nursing bundle, the HRO team, and the patient experience team today. So it's been a pretty busy day. So I'd like to open with a quote by Warren Buffett. And what Mr. Buffett has to say to us is that trust is like the air we breathe. It's when we no longer have it that we really start to notice it, right? So trust is like the air we breathe. When you run out of trust, that's when you really notice that it's gone. So the problem with that leaders tell us all over the country that they have is that their people are just very passive receivers of communication and information. And when that happens, if they're very passive about it and they don't know where to go for information because they've never been told about information, guess what happens? They go to you, yes, the leader. And we see that where the leader has all the answers or thinks that they do or tries to have all the answers. And they really, truly think, well, what I spend my time doing all day long is answering questions of people. And sometimes it's the same question over and over and over. Were we supposed to do that? I didn't know that we were supposed to do that. Nobody told me. Nobody ever communicates around here, right? So what we really like to see, always, all of our solutions are all about making leaders more proactive, positive leadership solutions. So what we really like to see is a transparent communication plan so that leaders can then, essentially, you're making a promise to your employees, right? You're making a promise to say, this is where you go for information. And we would, we'd love to hear it because Eaton Rapids Medical Center just did this. And so Christine is here to tell us about that on her 212 journey. What happened?
So keeping transparency in mind, one thing that we did is create a communication plan most recently. And in that communication plan, we wrote it down, which was amazing. So greater than 20 plus ideas that we are already communicating to the masses of the organization of a multitude of things, whether it comes from the executive team out to the organization or it comes from committee work or department specific. That communication, the multitude of technique that we're communicating to the employees, that gives them some ownership, first of all, not always going to the leader, because we know we're disseminating the information, but to become a transparent organization and create more trust and create not only those passive receivers of information, but also that they're transmitting the same message that we're trying to get out there in the masses through CEO forums or those types of things, and making sure that the masses are getting that message. And then, of course, being our cheerleaders, not just relying on the leaders to do that, but also being the cheerleaders within their departments and within their organization, plus in the community, again, being in the know to have those tools. And we wrote all those things down so that in the communication tool, it's not only how we're communicating or what mechanism we're communicating, but it's also how often the communication is happening. And then also the expectations. So for instance, we have a senior executive meeting once a week, and we send out an update to the whole masses of the hospital. That's done weekly. It also has the executive leaders schedule on there so they know what the executive leaders are there. Again, being transparent. So if I'm on PTO, it's there. If I'm traveling with Capstone, it's there. So they know where we're at. Again, walk a mile in our shoes. We want them to do the same thing. But then they can see us, wow, we have all this information out there. We have all this. There's no reason for me not to be in the know.
Right.
I have to take it. It's kind of that 50-50, right? It can't be all the leaders doing that. It has to be also the employees taking the ownership of that. So.
And probably when your team did that, you were probably stunned, like, wow, we communicate a ton of stuff.
It was amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Again, because
Yeah.
when you start to put things down, even we think about surveys, right? So you have
Yeah.
employee surveys,
Yeah.
you have culture of safety surveys.
Yep.
Those are another avenue for employees to be able to empower their voice
Right.
and have an avenue
Right.
of what's going on. We got to
Yeah.
circle that information back.
Right.
But in the communication plan, it's like these are all the avenues,
Mhm.
rounding, and all of these initiatives
Right.
of that connection in regards to communication. Because communication is not just one way. It's not just how
Sure.
we disseminate all that
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
It's also about how they receive it, or how they
Uh-huh.
can get it, or how they can
Uh-huh.
have their voice heard as well.
Right. Because we know that negativity screams at you and positivity only whispers. So let's say, probably what prompted this is you and your team were hearing negative. They were hearing from a very small subset of their employees that we never know what's going on around here. Nobody ever communicates with us or what. And, as leaders, you got to determine, is this a barrier? Or is this an excuse? Do we truly not communicate? And you start to doubt yourself. You start to really doubt it. Now, earlier we were talking about the fact that you realized as a team that it can't be one way to communicate.
Right.
It can't be just email.
Right. So I'm a visual learner.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I like to see things in writing, right? Whether I kill some trees and print some things off and vet out the information from the minutes of a meeting or whatnot.
Yeah.
But we have a mechanism of you need to not only rely on the employees to be able to go out like a portal and pull the information to them, but you also want to have it in front of them. So whether that mechanism is on boards,
Right.
so certain meeting minutes that are on the boards, again, visual in key areas throughout your organization,
Right.
or a portal where I go out and reach that information, or in writing, or electronically email. Again, some department leaders do out a weekly update.
Nice. A
and they
blog.
send out,
Yeah.
blog to the departments. Our CEO does a blog.
Yeah.
We do a lot with social media. Our marketing department
Yeah.
is very techy with social media and setting out information from
Covers your millennials.
Yes.
Yay.
And Xers, right?
Yes. Yeah, we heard that today.
Yes.
The Xers. Meow.
So it's important to make sure that you're capturing everybody. It's not traditional, or we hear the frustrations of I'm not on email, right? Because in healthcare organizations we have employees that work one shift a month, right?
Right.
So you need to be able to connect to those employees who work full-time elsewhere, but also have that ability to get the information in a timely manner. So that's important as well.
Yeah, cool. So if you could, let's say your organization is very engaged. Your organization has got a structure in place. What if one of these leaders out here listening to us doesn't have that same sort of organization? What is one or two things that you would tell a frontline leader to begin doing today or tomorrow to make themselves a more transparent and effective communicator? What's just one or two things they could do with a communication plan in their own departments?
Absolutely. One thing I would say for leaders is anything that they go to, that making sure that if they have a staff meeting or have a way that they're regularly communicating to their staff, that they are bringing updates at the top of their agenda of a meeting with their department.
Great.
So let's say executive rounds, or if they do sit on an executive team and they're having a staff meeting, or let's say we have manager meetings, so which have updates. We have town hall meetings where our CEO or executive team, myself and the CFO do updates, and you know that you don't have everybody there. You can take those updates back to your department.
Sure.
Highly, highly encourage you to put some of those key components, quality department goals, those should always be at the top of your hospital goals should be at the top of your agenda items. That's key, because again, you're closing the loop, or you're sharing that information as well.
Right.
And creating another avenue of hearing that information.
Sure. Well, and that is something, that many leaders that I worked with, at our organization did is, we always had our department head meeting. David, our CEO, had reported to the board the night before. His very same report that he gave to the board, because we were present for that, he gave to all of his department leaders the next day. And then some of them, I couldn't do it because I had a 24-hour department, but some of them literally took those meeting minutes from department head, came back to their departments of people sitting in a room and saying, hey guys, huddle up. Here are the notes that I took at department head today. I'm going to go through them with you. How transparent is that? Sometimes with leadership, it's our actions that are more transparent than what we actually say,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So what a transparent action to take to just, say, I just heard this news from our CEO and I'm going to reconvey it to you. They know you can't make that crap up between the meeting room and here, right? Like you're not taking the time now. Here's your notes and let's sit down and do it. So that's just very transparent act that you can take.
I think the other thing too is you have your what I say, the pulse in the department.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the hot topics or the hot buttons. You know master facility changes, any moves, any change in staffing or those types of things. You know those are the hot topics with your department. Make sure you're addressing those, making sure that you're getting that information. If it's been talked about at another meeting, you're circling back with that and giving that information, because you're feeding what the top things are and the top topics are in your department.
Absolutely. So in other words, don't ignore them. Right. Don't think that because you're just not going to address those things, that makes you an untrustworthy and non-transparent communicator, for sure, to just not address it.
Right. And not only the transparency creates the trust, but most importantly, one-on-one or face-to-face conversations create more trust for your employees to trust you. So if you are having those conversations, whether it's a rounding time in the department or whether it's at a staff meeting face-to-face, they're seeing you, they're having that interaction, and you're giving that information in real time, creating more trust.
Face-to-face conversations, the most powerful communication tool that we have. So if you enjoyed this, please invite other people, other leaders like you to join the fans of the framework. We're on live twice a week. We would love to hear from you and let us know what other topics you want to hear about. Send us a note. Now, this time, Kris and I did include a poll. So please, answer the question. Do you have a written communication plan that you follow, or no? It's a yes or no question. We'd love to hear from you. Also, Kris will be joining me April 23rd through the 25th in Galena, Illinois. She is helping me teach the full Capstone Leadership Summit, where leaders from all over the Midwest will be attending. If you haven't signed up yet, go to our website, www.capstoneleadership.net, and register today. Beautiful Galena, Illinois. Bye, guys. Have a great day.
Bye.